the last 3 months, because of COVID-19, schools have been shut. I hope that these materials that we present today will be beneficial to students in their final year of secondary or high school.
Hello viewers, once again welcome to this platform. This is a revision platform for final year students of senior secondary school or high school students as it is known in other climes of the world. Today we shall be talking about chemical reaction. Chemical reaction. Under this lesson today, we shall be looking at the following objectives: definition of chemical reactions, types of chemical reactions, description of each type of chemical reactions, and finally we shall look at some few class activity. Now, what is the definition of this concept, chemical reaction? Chemical reaction is said to occur when there is a change in the physical and chemical properties of matter. We talk about matter in chemistry. Matter comprises of elements, compounds, and mixture. So matter can exist as an element, matter can exist as a compound, and matter can exist as mixtures. Now, this chemical reaction occurs when matter is exposed to certain environmental factors such as temperature, pressure, sunlight, humidity. In other times, chemical reaction can occur when matter is exposed to other matters, either elements, compound, or mixtures. Most chemical reactions are accompanied by change in their physical properties of matter such as color, texture, density, hardness. For instance, rusting of iron is an example of a chemical reaction. It's an oxidation process which is associated with change in the physical properties of iron such as color, hardness, texture, and density. A rusted iron is brownish, lighter, and brittle to touch. Now, what are the various types of chemical reaction? Now, in the list of the various types of chemical reaction are, the first we have combination reaction. First of all, I will list them before we begin to explain them one after the other. We have neutralization reaction, reversible reaction, decomposition reaction, dissociation reaction, catalytic reaction, double decomposition reaction, precipitation reaction, photochemical reaction, exothermic and endothermic reaction, oxidation, reduction reaction, in summary known as redox reaction. We have nuclear reaction, displacement/substitution reaction, additional reaction, esterification reaction. Now, we also have things like hydrolysis reaction, saponification reaction, and condensation reaction. Now, we now begin to explain them one after the other. What is combination reaction? This is a type of reaction that involves the direct combination of constituent elements to form a corresponding compound. For instance, hydrogen chloride is formed from hydrogen molecule and chlorine molecule, as you can see from this equation. This is hydrogen molecule combining with chlorine molecule to form hydrogen chloride. Now, another example of combination reaction. Now, what is the component of this hydrogen chloride? Because it's made up of hydrogen and chlorine. Another example of combination reaction is the formation of water molecule. Now, water molecule is formed from its constituents, a reaction between hydrogen molecule and oxygen molecule to form water molecule. Now, let's look at neutralization reaction. Neutralization reaction is a reaction between acid and base to produce salts and water. Now, we've in the previous class discussed what acids are and also what base are. We also talked about what salts are as well. Now, the reaction between acid, for instance, this is an acid, hydrochloric acid, reacting with sodium hydroxide Now this is sodium hydroxide, a base and an alkalis, to form water and sodium chloride, which is a salt. Another example of neutralization reaction, this is also sodium hydroxide reacting with another acid, sulfuric acid, hydrogen tetraoxosulfate 6, to form water and sodium tetraoxosulfate 6, also salt. And this is a typical example of neutralization reaction that's found application in medicine, in agric, in the neutralization of acidic soil, the treatment or therapeutic treatment of ulcer. Now, what are reversible reactions? Reversible reaction is a type of reaction that occur in both directions under suitable condition. This is a reaction in which the reactant will go into products, and under suitable condition, the product constituent can also combine together to form a reactant. One of the basic feature of knowing what a reversible reaction is or are is when you notice that the arrow has a double end. You can see this. This is an indication that this is a reversible reaction, as we have double arrow facing both directions. Now, another example of a reversible reaction, that is the first, is the decomposition of ammonium chloride to form ammonia and hydrochloric acid. This is a reversible reaction. Now, this reaction also we talk about, this is an example of sublimation. When you heat ammonium chloride, it changes directly into gas without going through the liquid phase, and that in chemistry is referred to as sublimation. Another example of reversible reaction is the decomposition under the application of heat, calcium carbonate, limestone, to form carbon 4 oxide and calcium oxide quicklime. Now, this is also a reversible reaction. Under appropriate condition, the product can also combine together to form the reactant. Now, what is the decomposition reaction? The decomposition reaction involves the splitting of a single compound into several other compounds under the application of heat. Now, this is an example of the decomposition reaction. Lead nitrate, now under the application of it, forms lead oxide, like you can see here, and nitrogen 4 oxide and oxygen. Now, this is a decomposition reaction. A single component under the application of heat being broken down into 3 different components. Now, this is an example of decomposition reaction. Now, dissociation reaction is also similar to also decomposition reaction. The only difference between dissociation reaction and decomposition reaction is this, that a single component is actually broken down into several other components under the application of it, but under suitable condition, the product formation can also combine together to form the reactant, as you can see in this arrow. This is also a reversible reaction. Now, that's the difference between dissociation reaction and decomposition reaction. Decomposition reaction, the product components cannot combine together to form a reactant. Now, finally, let's look at this class activity, examinable questions that you might see in your final year exams. Suggest what type of reaction is represented by the following chemical equation. If you look at this equation number 1, this is actually a base, an alkali reacting with an acid. Of course, I have said earlier that the reaction between a base and an acid is actually a neutralization reaction to form salts and water. Potassium chloride with water. This is potassium hydroxide and hydrochloric acid. Now, the second equation here is sodium reacting with chlorine. Now, this is a typical example of a combination reaction. I hope you enjoyed this class. Thank you for listening. Remain safe.